into Grimm's Gates of Horror. My name is Grim. This is your new haven for all things horror movie related. And today I'm going to be going over this week's Little Wheels of Horrors. But this episode is going to be a little different. You see, a horror director, I believe it was last week, he decided to make some comments on his Facebook. Comments that were towards a member that had been in his horror franchise. If you know, you know. And he basically said that horror movies aren't political, which is kind of weird because horror movies have been political ever since Nosferatu, Dracula, even Frankenstein. The first horror movies, and the story was written by a female. We can go over how a bunch of horror movies are political, but because before he even made these comments, I had picked these movies from my wheel I do every week, and I was like, you know what, let me go off of these 5 movies that I just had randomly ready to go and tell you how they are political. So starting off from the worst to the best, I'm just going to get right into it because him making these comments were kind of disappointing and kind of felt like a betrayal because I've been a fan of his work since the first of the Terrifier franchise. If you know, then that's what I'm referring to. That's who I'm referring to. And it just sucks to see a horror director that I looked up so much just say these things and allow such disgusting behavior into the fandom. So let's start off with the first movie, and starting from worst to best, I have Signs. And Signs is a sci-fi horror thriller written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Signs centers around a former priest, Graham Hess, who is struggling with his faith after the tragic death of his wife. One day, on a remote Pennsylvania farm with his 2 children, Morgan and Bo, and his brother Merrill, they discover mysterious crop circles in their fields, which are later revealed to be a global phenomenon linked to an alien invasion. As the aliens approach, they must face their fears, their past, and their belief in something greater than themselves. Graham's loss of faith is symbolized by his retirement from being a priest and refusing to pray. His journey throughout the film is one of rediscovery, urged by his need to protect his family and the unexplainable events happening around them. Just as Graham grapples with his faith, many people struggle today with their trust in political systems and leaders. Debates around religious freedom and the role of religion in public life are always happening. The film's exploration of faith can mirror the discussions on how religious beliefs intersect with political policies and societal norms. The death of Colleen, who is Graham's wife, affects each member of the family, creating a backdrop of grief and longing. Graham's struggle with his faith is mirrored by his struggle to connect with his children and brother. The family's unity and love are ultimately what help them survive the alien threat, highlighting the theme of family bonds being stronger than adversity. The theme of family unity in Signs can be linked to current issues around immigration policies that are currently resulting in family separations. The emotional toll on families being separated by borders is a huge political and humanitarian concern. The concept of signs is woven throughout the film, from the crop circles to the repeated references to Graham's wife's final words. These signs lead to Graham's realization about his faith and his family's survival. The film suggests that life events, or nonsense over-the-top violent horror movies, may have a greater purpose or meaning. Graham is also in denial about the aliens invading, turning off the news because he doesn't want to believe the truth or what is happening in the current world, which reminds me a lot of a certain group of people that elected an orange elephant to lead the country. As Graham Hess, Mel Gibson delivers a powerful portrayal of a man grappling with deep grief and loss of faith. His subtle performance captures the emotional weight of the character's journey. Playing Merle Hess, Joaquin Phoenix brings a mix of humor, vulnerability, and strength to the role. His character's support for Graham and his heroic actions to save his family are pivotal. Rory Culkin and Abigail Breslin as the children provide heartfelt performances that add emotional depth to the film. Their innocence and resilience in the face of danger makes you feel a strong sense of empathy. Shyamalan crafts a sense of dread and anticipation using long takes, limited visual exposure to aliens, and a haunting score, making you feel tension all throughout. While Signs features a global alien invasion, its focus remains on the personal and emotional journey of the Hess family. Shyamalan's emphasis on character development makes the story more relatable, but the pacing remains pretty slow all throughout. And I personally am not a big person on religion or faith, so this movie didn't really touch me as it probably did for others. Like, like the twist at the end of the movie reveals that small random events like Graham's wife's final words, Bo's habit of leaving water around, and his son's asthma are part of a larger plan, which I thought was just an underwhelming twist and I just didn't relate to it on a personal level. Overall, Signs is a multi-layered film that combines elements of sci-fi, thriller, and family drama. Its exploration of faith, loss, and destiny, coupled with strong performances and Shyamalan's distinctive direction, makes it a compelling and thought-provoking watch. Even if I didn't connect to it as much as others, I can still say its well-calculated direction is masterful, and Signs gets a B minus for me. And getting into the movie in fourth place, we have Dressed to Kill. Dressed to Kill is a 1980 erotic psychological thriller written and directed by Brian De Palma. The story begins with a sexually frustrated housewife by the name of Kate Miller who has an affair with a stranger before becoming the victim of a grisly murder. Liz Blake, who is a prostitute, witnesses the crime and becomes the next target. With the help of Kate's son, Peter, they unravel the mystery behind the killer's identity, leading to a shocking and intense conclusion. Now, before going any further, I like to mention that I had no idea this movie included misogyny and transphobia until after I watched the movie, and it's why this movie does lose points from me, unfortunately, just because of how horrible this movie portrays women and people who are trans. Getting straight into the themes, De Palma delves into the complexities of sexual repression and desire. Kate's longing for sexual fulfillment and the consequences of acting on those desires are what set the plot in motion. Dressed to Kill features graphic depictions of violence against women, which has sparked many discussions about the portrayal of women in media like this, and the impact of such representations on societal attitudes towards sexual violence. Feminist groups have long criticized the media for perpetuating harmful stereotypes and normalizing violence against women, which this movie ultimately does. The Me Too movement has brought more attention to these issues, highlighting how much sexual harassment and assault happens and advocating for change. The duality of Dr. Elliot or Bobby represents a struggle with identity and transitioning as she is revealed to be the killer in the movie. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched this movie, but the way they portrayed her transgender identity to explain this was horribly made, as it's insensitive to the trans experience. The portrayal of her identity looked more like a double identity than her being a trans woman. The way it is explained in this movie is Dr. Elliot, who is the man half of Bobby, can't accept getting reassignment surgery. The movie is blatantly transphobic for portraying a trans woman who murders because she is trans, trying to link being a person who is trans to having multiple personalities, which promotes the idea that not only someone who is being transgender leads to homicidal tendencies, but it also promotes the idea that someone who is trans is mentally ill, which is just a very horrible and harmful depiction. These bad narratives feed negative stereotypes that are probably references and examples people still use today when generally thinking about the trans community. This movie takes a lot of inspiration from Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, which I feel Dressed to Kill elevated what Hitchcock was going for, but the objectification of women and the blatant transphobia are two big factors in this movie that make me not want to watch this movie ever again. No, actually, I'm not going to watch this movie again. And I can say that because it's a lot easier for me to say that than other people who are going to go see. Actually, I'm not going to go see it again because I actually have a backbone and I'm able to make that decision. We also should keep in mind that this movie was also made in the early 80s where representation wasn't the best in general, so it's also good to keep that in mind while watching movies like this from this decade. But Michael Caine's portrayal of Bobby masterfully balances the calm professional demeanor of Dr. Elliot with the menacing and erratic nature of Bobby. His performance captures the internal struggle and duality of the character. Although her screen time is limited, Angie Dickinson's performance as Kate Miller is memorable. She brings a mix of vulnerability, desperation, and charm, making her character's fate more impactful. As Liz Blake, Nancy Allen delivers a strong performance that combines toughness with a layer of sensitivity. Her character's journey from witness to detective adds depth to the narrative. De Palma's use of split-screen, slow-motion sequences and long takes creates a visually impressive experience. The museum sequence alone, where Kate and the stranger play a silent cat-and-mouse game, is a masterclass in building tension through visual storytelling. Like I mentioned before, this movie pays so much homage to Hitchcock's Psycho. There's even a shower scene that parallels the one in Psycho, which I thought was done a lot, which I thought enhanced the original. But De Palma adds his unique flair, combining suspense and graphic violence. Pino Donagio's score is instrumental in setting the film's tone. The music shifts between eerie and suspenseful to dramatic, enhancing the emotional impact of the scenes. De Palma also uses mirrors and reflections to symbolize the duality of identity, which, let me again say, is a horrible depiction. On top of this film, sexual and violent imagery is loaded with psychological subtext, inviting you to explore the deeper meanings, or as I see it, influence your perception with these stereotypes. Overall, Dressed to Kill remains a creative work in the thriller genre for its bold narrative, technical effect, and psychological depth. Brian De Palma's direction, combined with strong performances and a provocative storyline, makes it a film that continues to captivate and challenge audiences, but also serves as an example of how not to portray women or the trans community in such a damaging light, which makes me have to give this movie a B-. Because I was really enjoying like how much he was really elevating and basically paying homage to Alfred Hitchcock, but also making it his own. But then with the misogyny and the transphobia, how much like it paints this movie, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and it makes me have to rank this movie lower just because of those feelings it gives me. But moving on to what's the movie in the third place, I'm going to give a trigger warning right now because this movie deals with a lot of heavy topics relating to sexual assault, and yeah, it gets really heavy once the twist happens. So keep that in mind. Click out the video or skip to the second movie. I'll have chapters down below in the description so you can skip to the next movie. But The Perfection is a 2018 psychological horror thriller co-written and directed by Richard Shepard and stars Allison Williams, who you might know from the previous hit Megan. Williams plays Charlotte, a former cello prodigy who had to leave her prestigious musical academy to care for her ill mother. After her mother's death, Charlotte reconnects with her former mentors Anton and Paloma and meets Lizzie, the new star student at the academy. What starts as a seemingly supportive reunion quickly twists into a dark and thrilling journey filled with unexpected turns and shocking reveals. After a certain point in the movie, it's revealed that Charlotte is on a quest for revenge, which is also a journey towards redemption. She seeks to right the wrongs done to her, which is very disturbing and monstrous, and she makes some decisions to protect Lizzie and to break her from the abuse that they both had to go through. To be more specific, there was a test they'd have to do where they'd had to play a song with absolute perfection, and if there was one misstep, whether out of tune or uneven bowing, they'd be taken into a room and were abused by a group of men while strapped to a table. It, like I said, is really heavy, and so what Charlotte does is she makes Lizzie cut off her hand while going through psychosis to help her break out from the cycle of abuse. Charlotte's quest for revenge against their mentors can be seen as a parallel to Fight for Justice and highlights the struggles and lengths that individuals must go through to seek justice, to expose their abusers for what is done to them, and to rectify the injustices within a powerful institution. The film's depiction of the Backoff's Academy's mentors manipulating and exploiting the young students to be more specific, mirrors real-world issues of power abuse in institutions. This can even be compared to political systems where those in power may exploit their positions for personal gain or maintain control, and those dark secrets reflect the hidden corruption that exists in certain organizations, institutions, and even governments, unfortunately. This is similar to political corruption where unethical practices are often concealed to protect the pretty image of a person or brand. Both Charlotte and Lizzie have experienced deep trauma, and the film explores their struggles to recover and reclaim their lives. This can be related to the collective trauma experienced by societies under oppressive governments and the long process of healing and rebuilding that it takes. Allison Williams delivers a performance capturing Charlotte's complex emotions and motivations. Her portrayal of Charlotte's psychological unraveling is both intense and subtle, pulling you into her twisted journey. Logan Browning's performance as Lizzie is equally compelling, as she brings depth to Lizzie, portraying her strength, vulnerability, and eventual empowerment with authenticity. Her portrayal from victim to avenger is specifically remarkable. And then we have Steven Weber, who is one of my favorite, low-known actors, but his portrayal of Anton is chilling. He convincingly depicts the character's charismatic yet sinister nature, embodying the manipulative power that drives the film's conflict. Directed by Richard Shepard, The Perfection is a masterclass in suspense and horror. Shepard skillfully blends elements of psychological horror and body horror, creating an atmosphere of constant tension and unease. The film's pacing is calculated with carefully timed twists and turns that will keep you guessing. The cinematography enhances the film's eerie and unsettling atmosphere with the use of sharp contrasts, shadows, and close-ups to amplify the psychological intensity of the scenes. Overall, The Perfection is a thought-provoking and disturbing film that explores complex themes through its twisted narrative. It challenges you to question the nature of perfection, power, and revenge, leaving a lasting impression long after the credits roll. And I give The Perfection a B+. And so moving into second place, we have a movie called Missing. Missing is a screen life mystery thriller written and directed by Will Merrick and Nick Johnson, which is their feature directorial debut and is an anthology sequel to 2019's Searching, which Merrick and Johnson edited. If you don't know, screen life or computer screen film is a form of visual storytelling where the movie is told from a computer screen. Missing follows June Allen, played by Storm Reed, who is a teenager whose mother, Grace, disappears while on vacation in Colombia with her new boyfriend, Kevin. When Grace doesn't return, June takes it upon herself to investigate her mother's disappearance using various digital tools and social media. As she delves deeper, she uncovers shocking secrets about her mother's boyfriend and her own family history. Missing critiques how traumatic events are often sensationalized and turned into entertainment, which is relevant when discussing media ethics and the impact Missing critiques how traumatic events are often sensationalized and turned into entertainment, which is relevant when discussing media ethics and the impact true crime content has on society. There were even discussions about how to balance the public interest in true crime stories with the potential harm to victims and their families, which we have seen most recently with the Monster Show that focused on Jeffrey Dahmer and the Menendez brothers case, in which the creator Ryan Murphy admitted to including elements that were not true, and when in contact with the victims, the family of the victims, and they didn't respond, he's like, since they didn't say no, I guess that means it's okay. That's literally what he said. And yeah, those comments were just really insensitive and disturbing, to be honest. And I enjoy Dahmer, but it turned me away from watching it again and watching that new season, whatever they have. The film's commentary on the sensationalization of trauma reflects broader concerns of the ethical responsibilities of producers and the need for regulations to protect privacy and dignity. The film portrays the double-edged sword of technology, as it can be used as a tool for investigation, but also a source of misinformation, which mirrors ongoing debates about privacy and surveillance. Governments worldwide are grappling with how to regulate technology to control or protect citizens' privacy while ensuring national security. Issues like AI regulation, data protection, and the use of surveillance tools are hot topics in tech policy. The film's portrayal of hacking and digital tracking is what I loved because it felt threatening and too close to home, but I think it was important to portray to know what tools are at our disposal or what risks and threats to be aware of when browsing or scrolling, and it makes you reflect on the balance between security versus individual rights. This strained relationship between June and her mother is a central theme as it focuses on family dynamics and the impact that social media has on personal relationships, and resonates with current political discussions about the role of social media in society. The film explores the complexities of their bond, shaped by secrets, misunderstandings, and ultimately love. The reveal of Grace's hidden secrets adds depth to their relationship as June learns from her mother's sacrifices and past. This depiction with the influence of social media on their interactions highlights the broader societal issue of how digital platforms can both connect and divide people. Political polarization has been shown to fuel family estrangement when talking about choosing, basic human rights for the minority over capitalization and ignorance, if you get what I'm saying, with social media being a factor in the conflict. Not a big factor, but still a factor. Storm Reed delivers a standout performance as June Allen, perfectly capturing the character's determination, vulnerability, and resilience. Reed portrays June's emotional journey from worry to panic to relentless pursuit is both believable and compelling. Nia Long shines as Grace, portraying a mother whose love for her daughter drives her to make difficult choices. Long's performance adds layers to Grace's character, showing her strength and vulnerability. Will Merrick and Nick Johnson skillfully use the screen-life format to create an immersive experience. The entire film being presented through laptops, smartphones, smartwatches, security cameras makes up a lot of the suspense, but also reflects the way we experience and interact with the digital world. The director's use of fast-paced editing and narrative structure with the real-time unfolding of events keeps you engaged with the sense of immediacy and urgency that is made, and it keeps you on the edge all throughout. Eric and Johnson's direction ensures that every clue and direction has your attention and is used skillfully to drive the plot forward. Overall, Missing is a masterfully crafted thriller that combines a gripping plot, strong performances, and thought-provoking themes. The film's exploration of technology's impact on our lives, the complexities of family dynamics, and the dark side of content consumption make it a compelling watch. With its unexpected twists and expertly handled suspense, Missing is a standout addition to the thriller genre, and I give Missing a B+. And so in first place, we have Late Night with the Devil. Late Night with the Devil is a supernatural horror film written, directed, and edited by Colin and Cameron Cairnes and stars David Dastmalchian as Jack Delroy, a struggling talk show host who is desperate to boost ratings. So on Halloween night in 1977, Jack decides to host a special occulted-themed episode where he invites a self-proclaimed psychic, a skeptic magician, a parapsychologist, and a young girl who is allegedly possessed by a demonic spirit. And you're probably asking, how is this movie political at all? Let me get into that. As the show progresses, eerie and terrifying events unfold, leading to chaos and horror. So just like with my other reviews, Late Night with the Devil blurs the lines between what is real and what is imagined in the context of supernatural events, as the skeptic magician doesn't believe the psychic is legit, and the girl isn't actually possessed. The film's exploration of the blurred lines between reality and perception can be paralleled where misinformation and fake news is very common when the typical person doesn't look into headlines or news that they see to do their own research and will just go off the first thing that they notice and run with it. The way the media can shape public perception and influence opinions as a significant theme in both this film and today's political landscape. The way the media can shape public perception and influence opinions is a significant theme in both this film and today's political landscape, with how much censorship and propaganda there is. Jack Delroy's willingness to sacrifice his morals and well-being for success mirrors the sacrifices politicians and even your favorite public figures and celebrities make for power and influence. Even the idols you look up to the most. The consequences of these actions can have far reach, affecting not only individuals but also society as a whole, which we've seen previously with a certain popular horror franchise who recently fired the lead for speaking out against a genocide. Yet so many of her supposed friends flocked to be a part of the project. It just shows how often morals are pushed aside for personal gain and greed. Jack's obsession with beating his rival, Johnny Carson, reflects the intense competition and desperation seen between politicians as they go through great lengths to secure their positions, even at the expense of their integrity and ethics, if they even have any. The presence of demonic forces in the film can be seen as a metaphor for the darker aspects of human nature and the potential for evil within society, which resonates well with the political realm, where corruption, greed, and unethical behavior can have a profound impact on governance and public trust. David Dastmalchian delivers a standout performance as Jack Delroy, capturing the character's desperation and moral descent. The supporting cast, including Laura Gordon as Dr. June Ross Mitchell and Ian Bliss as Carmichael Haig, also delivers strong performances, adding depth to the eerie atmosphere. The film effectively combines elements of found footage and documentary filmmaking to create this sense of realism that immerses you into the 70s aesthetic and time period. The tight pacing with the atmosphere. Film effectively combines elements of found footage and documentary filmmaking to create this sense of realism that immerses you into the 70s aesthetic and time period. The tight pacing with the atmospheric tension and keeping that suspense throughout the film is what works to keep you engaged into this lost television episode of a fictional talk show. Also because it feels like because it also feels like David as Jack Delroy is acknowledging you directly, which I enjoyed, and it just created a chilling experience. Late Night with the Devil not only serves as a gripping horror film, but also offers a commentary on the darker side of human nature and the complexities of the political world. And I give this movie an A++, a 10 out of 10, because it's just chef's kiss. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please drop a like, subscribe if you are new and find yourself coming back to my videos on the regular. And yeah, I hope, Damien, if you watch this, I doubt you'll watch this, but I mean, if you need more examples, shoot, I can even make your movies political. Let's talk about the misogyny claims that people are making about your Terrifier movies. I'm a big fan of the Terrifier movies, but I'm not afraid to point out how those movies can become political. Because all horror movies are political. Shoot, all movies in general can be political. But horror movies in general, those horror movie, it's in the horror genre's DNA to be political. Let's go back to Scream. Let's go to Chucky. Let's go to Halloween, for example. All horror is political. So you saying horror movies aren't political and inviting, basically indirectly saying that it's okay for homophobics to watch your movies, and you're okay with them insulting and spreading hate about another side of the franchise, because a lot of your fans are part of the LGBTQ community. Shoot, that's why a lot of people love David Howard Thornton and Lauren Rivera, because they're outspoken on these subjects. It's not only are they great leads in your movies, but they talk about important subjects that are personal and relatable to us, and they use their voice to amplify others' voices, unlike you. So, I hope you guys did enjoy. All my social links will be down in the description below. I'll have my Blue Sky down there. You can go follow me right there. I'm more active on there and on my Instagram. I'll also have links to these movies down below so you can check them out yourself. I might not add Dress to Kill down there, because I don't think you should support that movie. If you want to watch it, there's other ways for you to watch it. It's free on Tubi, so if you have Tubi, it's free to watch. So you can probably watch it there. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy this video, and don't forget to check out Missing, Late Night with the Devil, Signs. The Perfection's on Netflix, so you can watch it on Netflix. And don't forget to check out these movies out down below right now.